Finally, William Dartmouth. No?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I must just respond to what Catherine Bearder said. She said that that there's a big debate going on in the UK whether the whether the UK should remain in the EU or not, and she had certain questions. But I've got very good news for Catherine Bearder, which is that her prayers have been answered. One of the reasons why you haven't seen very much from me the last couple of meetings is that I have been writing it was a pamphlet, it's now more of a book or booklet, which is entitled Out of the EU into the World. And it's now approximately 30,000 words, and it's now with the printer. So everything you always wanted to know but were always afraid to ask is all there. Your prayers have been answered, and I will send you and other members of the committee and the Secretary a copy. And there is actually an acknowledgement to Chairman Moreira and the other members of the committee for everything that they've done over the last 4 years, perhaps unwittingly, to assist me in on my understanding of this subject. Let's now go to...
Feel free to leave.
What, sorry?
Feel free to leave.
Of course. I'm really going to address most of my remarks about what Madame Segal had to say. First of all, I must congratulate the lady on her eloquence. It was eloquent even in the translation. So if my French was better, I'm sure it would have been absolutely stunning. Let me say, I'm just going to make one comment, two very quick comments and then two questions. One is, let me say what I did agree with Madame Segal was about, which was transparency. Now, we are strongly in favour of transparency. We always support our colleagues on GUA when they ask for transparency of the workings of the Commission and so on. And we very much support your organisation in your demands for that. After that, I'm afraid there's not very much that I can find to agree with. You harked after industry, on there being an industry policy, which is not really relevant to a trade committee. But the fact of the matter is that industrial policy has been completely discredited since the second half of the 20th century. And basically we know that it doesn't work. And it doesn't work because civil servants are not very good at making big investment decisions. It didn't work in the Soviet Union. It didn't work when France tried it. It's very unlikely to work in the 21st century. You also mentioned the social dimension, which is outlined in one of the treaties, and I'm afraid I didn't quite catch it. Perhaps in your responses you could tell me which article in which treaty is this outlined. You were going to read it out in English, but you were too coy to do so, but I would, for my own purposes, would be rather interested to know that. Now, the fact of the matter is that there is a potential incompatibility between imposing a social dimension and having economic prosperity and employment. I mean, for example, we have all these green policies imposed in the European Union. In partly consequence of this, energy costs in the United States are between 1/2 and 1/3 of what they are in the EU. And this is a problem, particularly in energy-intensive industries. And of course, it's one of the ironies that trade unions are very keen on steel plants and so on. You're much, much less keen on people working in insurance companies. And as the representative of Business for Europe, Madam MS Santos said, there are, of course,
William
already...
Could you shut me off?
I'm going to be very, very short. There are WTO rules, and what is being proposed is an additional dimension put on top of those. And then finally, I have one question. A question for Madame Segal. The European Union lays down free movement of people in Article 6. Do you see any incompatibility at all, in your view, between high wages and free movement of labour from very, very poor countries? We certainly know that the GDP per capita in the UK is actually going down. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, for permitting me to...